When I was preparing or giving my submittal for this PechaKucha presentation, I said I was going to approach this project as a parent. These are my two girls, Arabella, who's 5, and Coraline, who's 1.5. I'm going to approach it as an architect, and I'm going to approach it as a possible board member. Whenever I was filling out the application, I was actually running for school board in my local district. This building is a building that Willson Miller designed that's within my district, and this is where my little girl goes to school. So I'll talk about this. This is kind of the end part of the presentation. We're going to talk about the Urban Early Learning Center. But I want to approach it a lot of different ways, and I want to give you a little bit of background. So as a school board member, question mark, this is me down here. This is 3% of the votes. I did not win. I'm not school board member right now. So it was a fun experience. I got to know a little bit more about my district and about the people that were in it. But definitely maybe try harder next time. All right, so Kansas City. We're not really in Kansas. We're right on the border of Kansas and Missouri. We don't all drive tractors, and we don't all have cows in our front yard. We're an urban city, right on the corner, a very similar origin as Detroit. It was a fur trading city right on the river. So we had those, just like the Ville de Trois, city of streets. We are the city of streets. We have 1.262 miles of street per person. That's more than any other city at least in the United States, and I'm guessing that's probably the world because we love our streets here. So you guys should love us if you're from Detroit, because that means we love cars, right? So here's the cities as they lay out in the metro area. Our metro area is about 2.5 million people. Kansas City, Missouri itself is about 700,000. You can see in red over here, KC Mo background is pretty big. They just kept annexing. We didn't have any 8-mile road to stop. The district where I live is right here. This is Hickman Mills School District. This road going around is 435. It's kind of one of our many boundaries that we have of cities. The question is this an urban district or not? Our urban core is really here. Our second tier urban core is kind of this. Is this urban? Because it doesn't look like it geographically. Here's our different school districts that we have. So we have, however many that is, about a dozen or so school districts that are in our metro area. They all have their different nuances. We have state line, which is this dashed pink line, which is a huge border. Obviously, education is derived from the state, so that has a huge impact. I want to look at 6 of these school districts in the short amount of time that we have and kind of compare these 6. So 3 on the Missouri side, 3 on the Kansas side. The 2 most urban school districts are KCK and KC Mo. The very suburban is Blue Valley School District, Park Hill School District, and Hickman Mills, which is where I live right now. So the performance of those 6 districts varies greatly. KCK, KC Mo, the metro, they're operating at 1.37 performance out of 5. Hickman Mills, where I live, is even lower at 1.25. Whereas we have Blue Valley and we have Park Hill, they're operating at a very high level. These are some of the best school districts in the country, definitely the best in Missouri and Kansas. Let's look at the household income in these areas. They are probably what you would expect. Down here in Blue Valley, the household income is $105,000 on average. That's over double the average for the state of Kansas or Missouri, double the national average. Home values are $310,000. Look at them here in KCK, less than half that. This is a big tell, I think, the education level. So in the auspice of what we're looking at today, the idea of equity and education, you can see levels of education for the people that live in those areas is skewed the direction you would think it would be. So how do we start to reverse that? How do we change that trend? The Hickman Mills School District decided that they would focus all their efforts on the little guys, those little kids. So my daughter, who is 5, who was 4 when she started going to school here, they realized that they had 4th, 5th, and 6th graders that couldn't read at a kindergarten reading level. A teacher would hand them a math assignment to do, and they couldn't do the math assignment, not because they couldn't add or subtract, but they couldn't read the word add or subtract. And so the focus all got put into this early education system. This building is a middle school that was designed by Willson Miller back in the 70s. It had been abandoned for about 4 years, but this is what it looked like. These trash cans, they're not here because they're being stored in that room. They're there because that's how many roof leaks there are. This hallway with the VCT, probably the asbestos VCT coming up, is what it looked like when the school was abandoned. We've got all these tiles missing, again, because of the roof leaks. Our task was take this building, this old middle school that is about 40 years old, has been empty for 4 years, and transform it into an early learning center. So immediately you're thinking, all right, we've got all these ideas of scale that are an issue of taking a big building and make it for little kids. This is the first district in the state of Missouri to offer early childhood education for free to everybody in the district. There's no lottery system, there's no application, it's everybody. The impact that has on the people that live there, if you go back to the slides where I show the salaries, a quarter of their monthly income would be spent on childcare. It no longer has to be spent on childcare because now their kids go here for free. This has after hours and before hours provisions. It's called a link program. You can drop your kids off at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and you can pick them up at 6 o'clock at night. That's a huge boon, not just for the district to boost up their literacy levels, but for the community that we have here. We have these type of environments, again, to support that link system, that after hours and before hours, as well as education during the day. So we had really wide hallways because it was a middle school. So we infiltrated those hallways with educational purposes. This is a typical classroom where they have these little learning modes of different types of systems where they learn in different ways. They got around a table, they're learning in a house type of environment. The teachers are very hands-on. They've got a teacher and a para for every 16 students. We have spaces like this where we have different learning spaces, cave spaces, spaces of students learning under the tree. So providing those lifelong learners, making them understand how important education is when they're this big, and that way whenever they're graduating, maybe they're going to college, maybe they're changing those numbers, the statistics that we saw for our district early on. So thank you.